The island of Ireland itself faces the biggest and most profound challenge in a generation, and the British government's in turmoil and it's only interested in serving its own self-interests. It's actively ignoring the needs and the democratically expressed wishes of the people who live here on this island. It's continuing to ignore the cross-community majority of citizens in the north and the elected members who vehemently disagree and oppose the unwanted Brexit. The British government's attitude towards the Good Friday Agreement and the peace process can only be described as an act of political sabotage. They are dealing with the north and the peace process as if we're a commodity, something that can be traded. We know that the consequences of a no-deal Brexit will have a devastating impact for our people, for businesses, for farmers, for workers and for communities. We know that it threatens our hard-won peace and undermines the political and economic progress of the last 21 years that's been enjoyed across the whole of the island, but particularly here in border communities which have been transformed as a result of that peace process. Ultimately, Brexit undermines the institutional, constitutional and legal integrity and the status of the Good Friday Agreement. We have always said that if the British people wish to leave the EU, we wish them the very best. Good luck with all of that. That's their decision. But the people here have not consented to leave. We have special and unique circumstances which must be respected at all times, that must be understood at all times. From the outset of the Brexit problem, we understood the need to find what Mary Lou described as an Irish solution to an English problem. The solution that was put forward by Sinn Féin was designated special status within the EU, which transpired to be the backstop. The backstop, which is the legal guarantee and the least worst option because it's far from perfect, but it gives us a ceiling or a floor in which to work on. As we hurtle very quickly towards that no-deal crash-out, the reckless Tory DUP Brexiteers are very quickly running out of road. The options are narrowing. A North of Ireland only backstop would not be a constitutional issue, as the DUP has falsely claimed. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense to make that claim. It merely provides legal protections and removes any impediment to the All-Ireland arrangements and the totality of relationships which already exist. We are definitely in uncharted waters, and there is certainly a lot of uncertainty, but there is one thing that is for certain, that Irish unity is the ultimate solution here. Irish unity is absolutely the ultimate solution, and I think we need to remind people that the EU have declared that in the future, in the event of Irish reunification, the North would automatically rejoin the European Union. So the Good Friday Agreement gives us the peaceful and democratic pathway towards Irish unity. And citizens from all traditions are now looking to the future to see where their interests are best served and which union they wish to belong to. And that doesn't mean that they're persuaded towards the Republican position, but it certainly does mean that they want to remain European. The process of planning for a referendum must be undertaken by both governments without delay. And that includes the Irish government convening the National Forum, which includes all voices across the island, to be involved in a conversation instead of behaving in an ostrich mentality and digging their head in the sand and ignoring the fact that people are already talking about Irish unity. More and more people are having that conversation. It's not just Republicans, it's many, many other people. We meet here today in what is just up the road where we have an invisible border. And one of the most obvious symbols of our peace process, the invisible border on the island of Ireland, is essential. The demilitarisation of physical border crossings and checkpoints is both a symbol and it's also a dividend from the success of the peace process. There can be no land-based customs checks on our island in order to protect the integrity of the single market. There's no choice to be made between the protection of the Good Friday Agreement and the protection of the single market, and the Irish government need to remember that very, very clearly. Turning to the situation in the north then, it's been over 900 days that there's been no functioning assembly or executive in the north, and we don't believe that's a sustainable position. We want to see the institutions deliver for all people, but let there be no doubt that if any talks process is going to be successful, then it has to deliver on the rights, respect and equality agenda. However, at this moment in time, the reality is that to date, the DUP have traded power sharing in the north for their short-lived influence in London. However, that does not mean that we stop talking. We are a party of dialogue. We pride ourselves on being a party of dialogue. It's up to us and others to deliver on the promise of the Good Friday Agreement, to deliver that promise to a new generation, and to work and to implement the agreements without impediment, attaining its full potential in every respect, and it's up to us for stimulating economic growth and prosperity for everyone. However, if no agreement is reached, which would be regrettable, and in the absence of power sharing, it would not be acceptable for the British Government to impose direct rule. This should not be acceptable to the Irish Government, and we will hold the Taoiseach to account whenever he said that no citizen in the North will ever be left behind again. So there's a choice in this scenario, and that's between the protection of the Good Friday Agreement or its abandonment. And I believe a return, and we all believe, a return to direct rule would represent its abandonment. So in such a scenario, joint authority by both governments amounts to an honest and responsible effort to restore the Good Friday Agreement. Mary Lou set out this morning our priorities for the period ahead, including defending Irish national interests against the impact of Brexit, working to get the power sharing institutions back up on the basis of equality and respect and integrity for all citizens, providing that constructive opposition in Leinster House, holding the government to account for their failures and their weaknesses, providing solutions, because Sinn Féin has demonstrated time and time again that we always have solutions. We will contest every election and face into, whether that be a Westminster election or a general election, confident to go to the electorate. As a party, we have a proud record of defending the interests of ordinary people against austerity, Brexit, economic inequality and partition. And we have a proud record of standing for peace, equality, decent jobs, fair pay and for Irish unity. There is no doubt that change is in the air. In the North, over the last 3 elections, the Unionist majority has gone. The very basis of which partition is based on is gone. In the South, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael are offering more of the same. Well, comrades, we know it. More of the same just isn't good enough. Sinn Féin has real-world solutions to offer, and we stand on the side of the Irish people and of our communities. We're about bringing about fundamental political change, and we're focused, we're determined, we have a plan, and we stand ready all day, every day, to meet the national challenges in a way which is effective and on the basis of core Republican politics and values. That's our job. That's what we're leaving here to do today, and I have absolutely every confidence in us. Gurmila Mayof.